morning and welcome to Atlantic Blowout. Atlantic Blowout is a syndicated live program of the network featuring chit-chatting and conversation on special interest topics, news, events and stories through correspondent reports, experts' opinion and stakeholders' analysis. Today on Blowout, we'll look at the stories. Oyo State. Sharia a constitutional right for Muslims, Oluwo says. And then on to Lagos. Get noise permits. Lagos State government orders clubs, churches and others. And on power sector, Adelabu blames underperformance on vandalism. On governance, Serap tells Tinubu and Shetima to publish their assets. And on alleged defamation, I am ready for war, Farotimi declares. And there's Babalola. On military traditions, Sheikh socials, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, and on Twitter, Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website, www.atlanticnetwork.tv. We'll go on a short break. When we come back, we'll delve right into the show. Do not go away.
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN. From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN. From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN. From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Joining me on Blowout this morning is Mankitanen Adubabari Esquire. Mankitanen is a solicitor, advocate, notary republic of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. He's a socio-political analyst and mental shift advocate. Good morning, Mankitanen, and welcome.
Thank you so very much. Compliments of the season.
I wish you the same. The mental shift advocate got me. I think I'm going to get some coaching here. Mental shift coach, yes?
Yeah.
How has it been and how are you enjoying your Christmas?
Well, in fact, it's that latter part that keeps me afloat. Because in the light of reality, somebody asked me some time ago, for the first time since I was born, I'm 53 years old now, I've not seen the 1st October bash we had this year. And I told somebody, Christmas is not going to be a different one. And that's exactly what has happened. A chicken, live chicken is going for about 30,000 naira for just one. And then, don't be surprised. Most people have been converted to those I call those on economic escorts. Most of them will resign their jobs because the money they pay them don't carry them for a week in transportation. So we are facing the reality. We are in a mess. The sad thing is that this mess that we are in is clearly avoidable by all standards.
All right, Manki. We are going to delve into the topics right now. I'm sure you have a lot to say, and I can't wait to hear that. But then let's go to Oyo State first. Oluwo of Iwo, Osun State, Oba Abdul Rashid Akanbi has asserted that no government can deny Muslims in the southwest their constitutional right to adopt Sharia law. ATN reports that some netizens recently took to social media, reacting differently to the news of the planned inauguration of a Sharia court in Oyo State. In a viral flyer shared on X, the Supreme Council for Sharia in Nigeria, Oyo State chapter, announced its plans to inaugurate a Sharia court in Oyo town and its environs in January 2025. While some netizens expressed support for the announcement, others strongly criticized it. Opponents argued that establishing a Sharia court in the southwest, a region predominantly inhabited by Yoruba people, undermines the area's cultural and religious diversity, where no single faith is dominant. Reacting to the development in an interview, Oba Akambi stated that the Sharia implementation, rather, of Sharia law in the southwest aligns with religious freedom guaranteed by the Nigerian constitution. He stressed that Sharia laws are exclusively for Muslims, and people of other religions need not be concerned about their implementation in the southwest, as its rulings do not bind them. If any other person likes it, they can convert to Islam, and Muslims can also convert to Christianity. Everyone is free. Sharia shouldn't be a problem for other religions. No government can deny Muslims their inalienable rights, Oba can be said. What do you make of this story, Mankitane? Well,
it's a very sad position, and I'm going to take a very different view. I've always advocated, and I tell people, let me say it straight, we don't have democracy in Nigeria. We're not practicing democracy.
What are we practicing?
In fact, presently we're in the position of state capture by majority criminal-minded, self-imposed political opportunities, parading themselves around as leaders in Nigeria. And they know what they are doing. And I've said it. If what we say we are practicing, if we say we're in democracy, what is happening in Nigeria cannot happen. Do you know that the terrorists that are killing Nigerians, I mean indigenous population, that are being killed, these are terrorists that were permitted by the government of Nigeria to emigrate or migrate into Nigeria from the Sahel. The governor of Bauchi State, what's his name, Bala Mohammed, is walking around free. He declared that Allah gave Nigeria to Muslims all over Africa, that they should come to Nigeria and occupy. And these people are killing Nigeria's indigenous population with absolute impunity. Under the last administration, Adesina had the guts and the audacity to tell indigenous population in Nigeria that they had better given their ancestral land to these terrorists rather than being killed.
That wasn't that when the issue of land grazing came up.
Of course. That is what they are pursuing. I can tell you now for free, as we are talking now, these terrorists that are killing Nigerians, as they kill them, they move, they take over their land. What they are after is land taking. And then the question is this, for me, by section 10 of the Constitution, you talk about, what do you call it, that Nigeria is a free state wherein you can worship anything you want to worship. You have right, what we call freedom of religion. You can worship whatever you want to worship. That is not my problem. But a situation like this present government that is in place, I have studied it carefully. And I have told some people who care to listen to me that there are two plunges on which this present government came into office. One, in alliance with people that they call neo-colonialists. If you check the economic policies of the government, they are practically pure neo-colonialists. Do you know that the petroleum minister is the president of this country?
Yes,
do you know that Nigeria has what we call globally recognized comparative economic advantage in the production of crude oil? In the light of that, Nigeria has no business with importation of crude oil. We have enough here. Instead, Nigeria is killing its youth who are into parallel refining instead of collaborating with them to make life easy for Nigerians. Now, all that they are pursuing, and another thing is alliance with these terrorists. Now, this is the only country in the world that the government claims that it is rehabilitating terrorists that are killing its citizens.
Mankitane,
yes.
I would actually want us to, limit our conversation towards the Sharia, a constitutional right for Muslims, because, there have been a lot of controversies surrounding the implementation. Well, Sharia came out, the Muslims said it wasn't it wasn't a Sharia court that they wanted to inaugurate in Oyo State. That what they wanted to inaugurate was a Sharia arbitration panel, and that it doesn't have, that panel doesn't have any punitive powers. However, arguments are that this Sharia court, it's coming from, they want to inaugurate it in a region that is predominantly Christian.
Let me say this to you. There's an agenda that is being pursued. There's what we call the policy of testing the ground.
Okay.
Now, children do that a lot. When they come around, they come to the house, they will test the parent on certain issues, try and see whether it will work. I have said it, and I'm saying to you that there is a sinister agenda that is on the ground that is tilted towards. I'm very sorry, but you may hold me account to it, and I have facts to prove it, that everything is tilting towards Islamization agenda. Why would you ask me? You ask me.
Can you present your facts?
Right, you can ask me, why am I saying that?
Yes, that's the question.
Now, the reason why I'm saying that is what I have told you earlier. There is no nation of the world that the purpose of government is for the protection of life and properties of its citizen. By section 14 of the Constitution, power belongs to the people. You and I here, you can't be in government house. That's why there is supposed to be election. And it is deemed that those that we voted for are our representatives. They have our will, they have our interests. But we have a situation wherein those that claim that they represent us are representing their personal agenda, and those that brought them to office. I've said it here very clearly, and some people don't seem to understand. If you understand the power of the judiciary, for instance, and what it does, like this agenda of Islamic this thing that they are pursuing, for me, Nigeria is supposed to be a secular state. Do you understand?
Nigeria is not a secular state.
What is in practice is not.
But what is in the Constitution? It's Nigeria is secular.
The Constitution is a mere piece of paper that is not being adhered to. When we go into other issue, I'll prove it to you. It's not being adhered to. As I'm speaking to you now, the judiciary is supposed to interpret the Constitution, but the judiciary have been captured to be part of the executive. That is where we are now. And I've stated it clear that any nation of the world, to the best of my knowledge, whenever the judiciary is captured, the next thing that will happen is either revolution. Because if you know the enormity of the power of the gates of the law, that's why the political class fight to take over the gate and appoint their people who are not fit to be in office, to be in charge of the judiciary. Because whatever they want to, if you check, I'll just give you a classic example. Do you know that, I don't know how old you are, but for the time you started voting, do you know that consistently, it is not those that Nigerian wants, but it is only few members of tribunal and Supreme Court that decide who becomes the president? Not who Nigerian wanted to vote, per se. And that is a game that is being played, and people don't understand. Do you know when this crisis started in Benue, they were burying the dead executively. It got to a point they buried them like we normally plant yam in my axis.
Mass burial.
No. You have stump that represent each individual that are buried. Okay. Then we cross from that. Now is mass burial. They use caterpillar to open the ground and then bury people. Communities are being wiped out. The full crisis we are having now, part of it is activities of terrorists. My friend who just came in from the North Borno area, most of these terrorists, these people are the people in the illegal mining sector. You had last week there was an incident that happened, and these terrorists killed some of the civil defense that were protecting Chinese who came in for illegal mining. And it's a very funny situation. You know, when you understand the real state of affairs on the ground, you realize that this is just a game. The president cannot say anything. A country that has Ministry of Agriculture, some people came up and said that they need livestock. That is another way to bring in Ruga. So it's a funny thing that is happening. And you ask yourself, who did this to us? How did we come to this place? So they will just play a kind of a game. You just see, you hear about, talk about the next thing you are going to hear. They will tell you Sharia is here, and we know the consequences. Even this argument of tax that just faded away, kind of. The issue was, if you
let's not go into
yes, if you go to stay in the north and you say that you do not want beer in your territory, do you understand? For instance, you don't want beer in your territory. Why are you taking the VAT from beer? You destroy other people's economic life. This is the same thing that happened. The same thing that happened in the north. Once Sharia is established into a place, they come in and tell you, regulate your life. So now you are within that enclave. They tell you that you cannot, because we operate and rely on what we have seen. If you meet an agricultural expert, he can tell you that this just hatched egg is a cockerel. You may argue with him and say, what do you see? What is the sign that this is a cockerel? He'll tell you, don't worry, I've seen the sign. 6 months down the line, we have marked the leg of that. Yes, we have marked the leg of that cockerel. You tell you, have you seen what I was telling you? It's like an experienced mother that the child misbehaves and takes in. The moment the mother looks at the child, her movement, nothing has shown, evidently, she knows that this child is pregnant. And she raises a question, what happened? And the father may just rant. Few months down the line, the mother may call the husband, have you seen what I was telling you? Our daughter is pregnant. There are signs. You draw from what you have seen on the table before. With what has happened in the north under the guise of Sharia, there's not going to be anything different.
So now, in your opinion, Man Kitanen,
yes,
you're seeing this as the Muslim community is testing the waters, and the plan is to Islamize Nigeria. But they want to enter the southern region through Oyo State.
Sure.
They are testing the waters through Oyo State.
Sure.
And in your opinion, they said it's not Sharia court, but Sharia arbitration panel that they want to inaugurate, and it doesn't have punitive powers.
Listen to me.
Yes, go ahead.
You've heard about Omoteko, this security outfit. Do you know it has no constitutional basis? No constitutional basis. Omoteko Foundation is anchored in self-preservation. You'll be shocked at what you will do if you hear now that this house is on fire. Do you understand? You know, nature is on your side. In terms of, you know what I mean? Fine. And there's a live camera. 5 minutes thereafter, and you are told that no, there's no fire. It's a plank. You will be shocked at the attempt you made to find a way out of this studio. Because the moment life is threatened, nothing makes meaning. You can do anything to survive. It's just like part of what the government is doing, which is quite funny. You may not understand why this policy of poverty is implemented. Because the moment you are made poor, your brain shifts from significance to survival. And the moment you step onto the platform of survival, anything goes. Do you understand me? Omoteko came into us as a means of self-preservation. They realize, you know, the killing that happened in Ewo and the rest of them. They told themselves, what are we doing here? And then, because there's no part of the distance that permits state police, it is only federal distance that we have. But Omoteko is in place today as a result of move to preserve themselves. And nobody's talking about it. That's why I said Nigeria is a joke. We are joking here too much. Because people talk about constitution, I say, what are you talking about? What are you talking about constitution? Constitution for what? It's just something that they just put on the ground, and nobody, they're paying lip service to it. Nobody is obeying it. So what's the basis? The intellectuals in the West, I smile when I hear people like Wole Soyinka. They are not going into deep silence. They can't talk again. Because even the church leaders, they can't talk again. They can't open their mouth. People like Adeboye. I'm shocked. I don't realize that religion in this country is used as an instrument that is pursuing a kind of political agenda. The question is, whose interests are they pursuing? Why would you allow terrorists from other countries? You know, when NDA was invaded, That is the highest point in the country when you talk about security. NDA was invaded with impunity. They invaded the national maximum prison in Abuja, and all one know that transpired. So this is just a game.
All right.
And it's so unfortunate. And I'm telling Nigerians, look, if we are in a country, we can sit down and decide our future together and say this is where we want to go. Even the issue of self-determination is a constitutional issue.
All right, Mankitanen, let's get to Lagos State before we delve into self-determination. I mean, you have a lot on your mind. But then Lagos State government has implemented stricter measures to combat noise pollution, mandating that nightclubs, lounges, bars, and worship centers obtain permits for events involving amplified sound. According to the state, these regulations are aimed at safeguarding residents' health and well-being during the festive season and beyond. The Lagos State Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokumbo Wahab, announced the development via his official X account, emphasizing the government's zero tolerance stance on noise pollution. He stated that events with amplified sound must be conducted in soundproofed, enclosed spaces to protect residents from the harmful effects of excessive noise. The statement further noted that starting in January 2025, the government will roll out a public awareness campaign to educate Lagosians on acceptable noise levels and the benefits of a quieter environment. To enforce these directives, the government has established a special task force on noise pollution under the Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency. The task force, in collaboration with the Lagos State Neighborhood Safety Corps and the Lagos State Environmental Sanitation Corps, will oversee compliance, arrest offenders, and prosecute violators of noise regulations. Mankitanen, isn't this long overdue?
It's long overdue. You know, I used to call Nigeria a theater of absurdities, and it's very unfortunate. You may accuse me of sounding pessimistic, as it were. I'm not living here. I'm like my brother, my comrade in the struggle, Dele Farotimi. I'm not living here. This is the best place to be under the sun. You know, the sort of what I prefer to call madness that we experience here. Most of the people who are involved in these things, the moment they step out of this country, they are sober. They do the right thing. And sometimes you ask yourself, is there a devil in this part of the world that is controlling our minds and the way we behave? Let me give you a practical example. You know, Dove, there are environments that you find such to your bed. If you are living in a quiet environment, they first of all come. They may come with just a stick and test the environment, how peaceful it is. If they find that the place is peaceful enough, they may come and nest. In GRA, when you talk about government residential area, unfortunate, what is happening now, if you go to GRA phase 2 in Port Harcourt, it's a shame. Because people, visitors normally move, stroll in GRA. The peaceful environment alone, people may not understand.
All GRA is more like a GRA.
And this same madness is, you know, moving from GRA phase 2 is coming to that old GRA. Because people are converting most of the facilities into command. In fact, if you go to GRA phase 2, it's like a nightclub, wide nightclub throughout. And to me, if you look at a place like Duke and then GRA per se, you will see that there ought to be that difference. Part of the reason why people create GRA is for that seniority. Now, if you're in a quiet environment, it's when you live in a quiet environment you will understand. You can have the level of thought and reasoning that will shock you. It's like when you write around 1, 2, 3 a.m. You wake up in the morning and you wonder whether you are the one who wrote those things. That's why some people sleep to wake up around that, because there's what we call relative humidity. It's very high. If something drops in your house, somebody in the next 2, 3 yards will hear. That moment, there is something that has got to do with your brain, your consciousness, and the way you are taught, your wavelength moves. Your consciousness, all the noise have died down. There's something that, you know, enhance human capacity. That is the brain in quiet environment. That's why most of the white, they go on holidays. And when some of them they switch off their phone, go to even where bears are nesting. When they come back with renewed mindset. But that's why some people argue that the behavior we are putting up here is as a result of the environment we live in. When you go about, even in worship centers, when you hear the noise, even you enter into some churches, even the what do you call it, the sound system alone is deafening. And I ask myself, something is certainly wrong with the mindset of the individuals that are behind this. Because it will impair the reasoning of the young children growing up in that environment over time. It's like staying by a madman. Let me say a madman that was a reggae fan before, and he sings Lucky Dube song almost 24 hours. One of the days, unconsciously, you may be watching, you begin to mimic the madman, the way he sings. You'll be shocked. It's a natural thing. And that's why some people argue that environment is everything. So when you talk about environment, any sane government must be concerned about the environment because it impacts the life of the individuals living within that environment. So for me, it's long overdue. I think that was the word you used. It's long overdue. If we are human, we should live under control. You know why all these things are happening? It's part of what I told you. I thought we are not in democracy. We are in a state of lawlessness. Some people argue that Nigeria is a zoo. I say if you call Nigeria a zoo, it is an understatement because in the proper zoo, things are organized. You can't find monkey and chimp in the same cage. Things are organized. When you get to proper zoo, things are organized. You move from this way, you say you want to see crocodile, they take you to a different direction. You say you want to see chimp, they take you to a different, organized. There can be infiltration. But what we have in Nigeria, it's a jungle wherein people, because of the failure of the law, any individual wakes up and does whatever he or she likes. It's a chaotic situation. That's why I prefer to use the concept that Nigeria is a theater of absurdities. And it's very unfortunate that we are in such a situation. Until the law works. And when you're talking about the law working, one of the primary things about the law is nobody is above the law. But where individuals exalt themselves above the law, then you know that the concept propounded by people like Lord Denin of Blessed Memory and the rest of them, that nobody, no matter how powerful you are under the law, becomes an aberration. And that's what we have here.
Talking about the law working, let's look at the implementation of this noise permit. How feasible is it going to be? Because, I mean, with all the beautiful policies we have on ground in the country, it appears that the major challenge we have, it's not even the policies most of the times, but implementation of those policies. Now, when worship centers are mentioned, the first thing that comes to mind will be churches. You know, we'll look at different worship centers, but the first thing that comes to mind, just like when you were making your illustration, is the churches. The level of the noise, even inside the church. And now some churches are beginning to build structures that are soundproof. Okay. So when you are outside, you don't hear noise. Yes. But when you enter into the hall itself, oh Lord, the noise is so loud. And you mentioned that. Now let's also look at the mosque, the Islamic mode of worship. I recall one time I visited Lagos. I spent some time in Lagos State. And one thing that I couldn't stand was the noise. Now, the Muslims, the mosque, very early in the morning, very early, and that usually was when I did enjoy sleeping at that point in time, because I was usually awake most of the times at night. Then very early in the morning, as early, that time when the sleep is really sweet, you will now start, they have this horn speaker that is outside the mosque. Very early, they call for prayer. At some point, I had to wake up and ask someone, what is this about? He said that's the way they call people to pray. So wherever, Muslims are around, either they go to the mosque or where you find yourself, you pray and all of that. Now, that's the noise from that horn speaker. It's something else. That noise travels miles. Yeah. And God forbid you live near a mosque. And that period we were living near a mosque. It wasn't nice. And this call for prayers happens at intervals. It's not like it's once. It happens at intervals. So now, how do you see the implementation of this? Because, I mean, Christian community might be easier, but Muslim community, how do you implement that?
Now, while I was coming to the studio this morning, I was listening to, I enjoyed it for the first time in a long while. I listened to a professor this morning, and something told me that there's a ray of hope. A professor of Ajiru University. He was talking about these CNG buses.
Yes.
And he said that his problem is with the government. That if government wants that project to work, they should first of all convert all their vehicles, official cars, to CNG-driven facility. And then that will infuse confidence. And then they should also train more people who are engineers in that field, that this will make it work. The issue is those who are at the helm of affairs. Because sometimes the citizens act as children in the home. Children are not bothered by what the parents are saying. They live their life. They watch them. If you have a house that has camera and the father is a bully, God forbid, just keep camera in a manner that the children are not aware that there is camera. You will see your male children mimicking you and you'll be shocked. Using their sisters as in place of their mother. And they just do pim, you will see me. And you watch yourself, what you have been doing. That is how it is. Nigerians, we are the most, how would I call it, the most resilient people that I've seen under the earth. All Nigerians, do you know that Nigerians are virtually doing everything in this country? They just need simple leadership. Now, if you are talking about this, just like I was talking about the issue of Sharia, my problem is that if we are going to live together, we must find ourselves in a place wherein law is what prevails. If you say the moment the law says you have to minimize even that mic, the loudspeaker, you can hear the sound from the loudspeaker, but minimized. Do you understand? At certain level. You know, when I did a research work on the legal framework for environmental management in Nigeria, the petroleum industry in focus, there is a body that is in the UK, Her Royal Majesty's Environmental Facility. That's how they call it. This body is so strong. They will just come into your facility, like this place we are. If it generates noise, there are facilities they will just place in the premises and to give you the noise level instantly. Those things are there. It will tell you the noise, and if you have violated it, it will gauge. It's just like you are driving on the road, like road safety and the rest of them. Technology have gone so far that they will just give you a facility like a speaker and tell you to speak to it and to take your alcohol volume state immediately. It will gauge. You will see it by yourself that this is the level to which you are intoxicated. And when the paper will be written, you can't argue. That's how technology has gone. So if we are ready, it's sincerity of purpose that matter. If we are ready and we say, okay, this is what we are going to do. It's just like talking about the government revoking a CFO. Do you know the condition under which a CFO can be revoked? It is for overriding public convenience, not for personal. But we have a situation wherein individuals will revoke CFO properly granted to somebody and then pass through the back and convert it into a personal property as against for overriding public purpose. So if we are serious, let's allow the concept of rule of law to prevail perfectly. It is going to improve the health condition of the people. You know, people say that a lot of Nigerians need psychiatric attention. Most of it are flowing from this. You want to go and worship God and then you come out and you are, mentally impaired. There was a particular part of Port Harcourt that I stayed. I had an office there before at Element Junction. Unconsciously, you see these glasses I'm wearing. It came as a result of an office I rented. After 1 year, we usually don't have light in that environment. I didn't know that my eyes were adjusting to the environment. Each day I come. After 1 year, the thing affected my eyes. I couldn't see well. anymore.
Because we're strange.
Yes, and my pupil was adjusting, and my age was not on my side. I'm moving to the afternoon of my life. I'm heading to the evening of my life now. Presently, I'm 53. That is the same thing. When I was at Eleme Junction, after about a year, when I go to some place, quiet environment, you hear people who are bold enough tell you, Manki, you are shouting. It was somebody who told me that it's as a result of the environment you live. Because Eleme Junction, oh my God, the blaring of the horn of cars.
So you have to shout.
Yeah. In fact, my brother called me from UK and said, look, my friend, don't people have soundproof facility? I said nothing. I said, you need to leave this environment for your health. And I agree with him. That's the reality. So if we are thinking ahead, if we are even thinking about the health of our children, because the best thing parents can do is to think ahead. Except a vindictive father that would not desire that his child or her child should be greater than him or her. Right. That should be the purpose. So we should look at a cleaner and better future, quiet environment for our children that they can sit down and reason. When you are in a quiet environment, better thoughts will come to you. Right. And you can reason straight.
All right. Minister of Power Adebayo Adelabu has stated that the increasing incidence of vandalism targeting critical power transmission equipment hindered the achievement of the ambitious goal to generate 6,000 megawatts of electricity by December 2024. He explained that the government had implemented measures to reach the milestone and was on track until multiple incidents of vandalism to electricity towers disrupted the plan. The Special Advisor on Strategic Communications and Media Relations, Bolaji Tunji, revealed this during an exclusive interview when asked about the reasons behind the failed projections. Nigeria's power generation currently ranges between 4,000 megawatts and 4,900 megawatts from 19 power generating plants serving a population of approximately 200 million people. However, the frequent collapse of the nation's electricity grid and the vandalization of towers ultimately affected the stability of the electricity supply, hindering efforts to raise the country's power generation. Bolaji said, one of the key issues has been the cash backing of the subsidy, which relates to debt owed to generation companies and gas companies. This year's subsidy will be approximately 2.3 trillion naira, but only 450 billion naira was budgeted. Mankitanen.
Yes.
What do you make of the position of the Minister of Power?
Well, that's just the usual damage limitation exercise aimed at diverting the attention of Nigerians. Now, I used to give this story of a husband and wife couple who wanted to leave the house and leave their young child at home. Now, they didn't know that their child has mastered their body language. So the child already picked the signal that they want to leave the house. They only woke up to that realization when the child went to the wardrobe, picked his pair of shoes, and came to the door and placed it beside their own shoes. That was when they woke up and then began to change the agenda and talk to the child that, look, if we are going now, we're going to buy you something to pacify him to stay back. See, these are leaders, I call them self-imposed leaders because they are not honest. They are not deceiving Nigerians. We are far ahead of them because technology has connected us along the length and breadth. You see the sun that has come up from morning to now can generate energy that we can finish in months. The world has changed and Nigerians know. So whom are they deceiving? Whom are they fooling? So see, let me make this very clear to you. The root of this argument we are hearing, which they are not ready to mention, who are those that are bringing down the towers? They are the imported terrorists who want Nigeria to stay in darkness for them to advance their sinister agenda of killing Nigerians. They killed most of the security agents who escorted the PhD staff. Most of them have died in the process. We know all those things. It's like telling me that, oh, the reason why there's food shortage in Nigeria, the economic holocaust, part of it is as a result of the death of our farmers. and I ask who are the people that have been killing the rice farmers, it's the same terrorists. I say this to any a member of this government. In my place, when there is leprosy in the family, you don't discuss the issue of ringworm. The root is this imported terrorists. Is the government serious about chasing them out? No. Government is part and parcel. And I give you a practical example. Oshomole, as a member of the Senate, said sometime to the shock of many Nigerians that they did their investigation and found out that most of the security chiefs, that the money they give them for the purpose of acquiring arms to fight these terrorists, that the monies are diverted to private purpose, building private university and the rest of them. That he want to move a motion that members of the National Assembly should rise to the occasion of carrying out their oversight function of ensuring that if we are going to release money for purpose of buying modern equipment, we must ensure that that money is restricted to that purpose, and then the equipment are bought and our men use those equipment to flush out these terrorists so that our farmers can go back to the farm and produce more food for Nigerians. Do you know that bill was shut down on the floor of the National Assembly? In fact, Akpabio pretended as if he did not, he behaved as if he was shocked. And he said, gentlemen, and he rehearsed the whole motion. I said, this is the motion that Oshomole is seeking to move, and it has been seconded. Can we pay attention to this? They voted it down, which means that it is those that we elected to represent us that are supporting the activities of the terrorists. So what do you expect of power when these are the people that are bringing down the towers? We are all aware of that. So when you leave the base and you are attacking the superstructure, you are a deceiver. It's as simple as that. It's like somebody telling me that I'm interested in giving foreign scholarship and you are destroying the primary school level, which is the foundation. You are not interested in the primary school level, and you are, in fact, in the world over. If you don't know, that's why I say Nigeria is the best place to live in the world. We can sit down like this in Europe, in an open environment like this. We can't step out in what we are wearing outside in Europe. You can't do that. They'll pick your dead body. We have such an environment that you talk about, say, by the time this government came into, you are training. We have manpower abroad. Nigerians who are into solar energy can come into this country and build facility. We have the land. A country that treats foreign terrorists, I don't mean local terrorists, I mean foreign terrorists, we keep growth. You take that government serious. That's why I say locally and internationally we are a big time joker. Nigeria and its leadership, as presently constituted, we are joking big time. And until we come to the realization, Adelabu, you know, I don't care where you were trained, but deep inside of you, you know that you are not saying the truth. You are not ready to face the reality. This government is behind the terrorists that are crippling Nigerians and crippling Nigerian economy. And it's very unfortunate.
Yes. That's a strong allegation to say that this government is behind the terrorists.
You want more facts?
Or is supporting. When you say behind.
Yes. What's the difference between behind and support?
Yes, that's where I'm coming to. Because I didn't use your exact words.
Yes.
So what you're saying is, from what I understand, you're saying that this government is supporting the terrorists that are crippling Nigerian economy.
Yes.
That's a very strong allegation.
And I back it up by what happened at the National Assembly. Do you understand it? Mm-hmm. There cannot be any interpretation that anybody that is in command of his or her faculty can give to what happened on the floor of the National Assembly. I mean, the life of your own citizens are at stake, and you are seeing it. I had some members of the National Assembly weeping on the floor. Whether they are pretentious or whatever, I don't care. But they give the feeling as if they are concerned about the fate of the people they represent.
Then if they are concerned, you cannot say that they
No! When it comes to the point of now voting, I said they voted. When Akpabio came up and re-emphasized what Oshomole said, and they understood it clearly, and they voted it down. And that's exactly where we are.
Right, very well. We'll go on a short break. When we come back, we'll continue. Serap has told Tinubu and Shatima to publish their assets. When we come back, we'll look at the story. Do not go away.
the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains. Through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN. From the land across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news live and
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project has urged President Bola Tinubu to request the Code of Conduct Bureau to publish his assets and encourage his Vice President Kashim Shettima, ministers and the leadership of the National Assembly, state governors, as well as the chairman of the Nigeria's 774 local governments to also request the CCB to publish their assets. In the letter dated 28 December 2024 and signed by SERAP Deputy Director Kolawole Oluwadare, the organization said, "We welcome your reported decision to consider asking the CCB to publish your assets as a significant development and a signal of your intent, willingness and commitment to show leadership on this important matter of public interest." The president had, during his first presidential media chat last Monday, reportedly said, "I will consider asking the CCB to release my assets," SERAP said. "But your consideration will carry more weight if you were to promptly translate the intent into action by asking the CCB to publish your assets. Your intent, willingness, and express commitment to promote transparency in asset declarations should include prioritizing the immediate and effective implementation of the Supreme Court judgment and holding state governors to account for contempt of court as they continue to blatantly disobey the judgment." SERAP also said, "Secrecy in asset declaration forms also provides the biggest opportunities for the abuse of public money for private gain. Acting as recommended will reduce the opportunities for corruption at all levels of government." Mankitanen,
yes.
What do you make of this position? I mean, this has always been a running battle with public office holders to publish their assets. Is that not even a requirement in the Constitution?
It's a constitutional requirement.
So,
in fact,
why is the president saying he is going to consider asking the CCB to make it public when constitutionally he's required to do that?
We are in the jungle. Nothing more, nothing less. Do you know that it is constitutional? Even this battle that is going on now about local government, right? In fact, they are going to the extreme now by saying the state should release their fund. Their fund are supposed to be remitted straight to them. And
up until now, what some state
governors are still disobeying. See, let me tell you.
Is it the state governors disobeying or the federal government not obeying Supreme Court judgments? Because Supreme Court says it's to take effect immediately. Okay, granted, some local governments have not some states have not held the local government election,
yes.
And a 3-month window was given.
Yes.
All right, hold your elections, and then, at the end of that, I think that should be September or October. October was like the deadline that was given. But up until now, is Jack still not in effect?
Let me say this to you. For me, I've lost both of my parents. If any of my parents is still around.
Both of my parents?
Good, fantastic. Your family, your very house, right, cannot rise above the dream of your father. Do you understand? Your father is the head of that family. Forget about what anybody will tell you. Your father is the head of that family. His vision and dream, right, for that family, his intention, what he has in mind, which your mother is supposed to support and power, he cannot, the family cannot live above what he has in mind. That's why people always tell you capacity development. Leadership is everything. The ball rolls and stops on the table of the president. Is it not the president who fought tooth and nail when the scam surrounding him came to light and they made move to Chicago State University for them to release as high school at University of Calabar? What took me to University of Calabar was IJMB that I did in College of Art and Science, which is now Captain Lechi Amadi. Those records are there. Somebody can rise up tomorrow and say, College of Art and Science, as it then was, can you release, if actually I made BBC, as I allege in my IJMB result that took me to University of Calabar? If it is found that, what, I'm a lawyer, it doesn't matter, those things are superstructure. It is found tomorrow that the, what do you call it, the basis that what I used to enter University of Calabar was fraud. I can see what the experience I've garnered cannot be taken away from me, but I'm not a lawyer. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. When Bola Tinubu claimed that he, you know, when he was governor, you know, Ganifa Emi fought him till he died. When he was governor of Lagos State, he claimed that he attended Chicago University. You know, there's a difference between Chicago University and Chicago State University. Mm-hmm. He claimed he attended Chicago University and Ibadan High School. At a point, some people came up to say that because this thing got busted when the Old Boy Association wanted to organize a kind of welcome that one of our own is the governor. And people challenged it. Even those who claimed that they knew him, suddenly they withdrew. You attended a school, nobody knew you, nobody heard about you. It's strange. Then when he became president, he now turned around to say that he did not attend Chicago University, that he attended Chicago State University and Lagos High School. Now, they now went to Chicago State University. I asked them to release the result with which he entered, gained admission to Chicago State University. They found Lagos State High School result. That the date on it showed that that certificate was issued 4 years in real terms before the real Lagos High School came into existence. And he fought through the court outside Nigeria that Chicago State University should not release his detail that is going to cause incalculable harm to his person and his career and his dream. And Supreme Court still validated such evident fraud. That's why I said the justices of the Supreme Court that did this to us, one day I will be alive, they will pay for it, or they will account, they will tell us what happened. So what do you expect from such a person? What do you expect from such a deputy? When they were talking about Muslim ticket and all the shenanigans that even happened at my professional conference in Lagos and all whatnot, and here we are. We're talking about democracy, we're talking about touching the life of the people, and then you saw all that played out, buying yachts, buying this, creating the First Lady's office. Oh, we are not interested in your this thing, we just came to help Nigeria and all whatnot, and all the shenanigans. You heard of the controversy that is raging now, that army organized a parade for the sun, and all whatnot. So when you talk about this issue of declaration, I ask myself, what is going to come out of it? If this thing I give you as antecedent showed up, what do you think will come out of it? I don't see anything coming out of it. If before he became president, he fought, and upon all the evidence that came out, because the court there is not the court in Nigeria that you can manipulate. Of course, you know that if Ekwurimadu were in Nigeria, that matter that happened, he will not be in jail. If you listen to the judgment from that judge, oh, you will not. If you are not a lawyer, you will nod your head and say, "This is where law is working." When you listen to the judge and his reasoning and reason why he's going to convict him, of course, he had ruined the career of that what do you call it, medical doctor. That's the end of his career. He had destroyed that one permanently. That young man would have been in jail in Nigeria for life. But this is where we are. So I don't see anything coming out of it. If you listen to the language of Serap is just trying to pick on it because he says something about it. Do you understand?
Well, he's now telling, Serap is telling him
that he should give life to what he said.
Yes, by taking action.
That is it. So the man is a very clever man, and I believe that one day we will get to the point of elastic limit, and Nigerians will say, "Look, we cannot continue anymore because this speed train has a destination."
All right, very well.
It's very unfortunate, but that's the reality that we are in.
Dele Farotimi on Sunday, December 29, said he is ready to face his ongoing trial. Farotimi said his battle axes have been sharpened and his guns primed, ready for war. Posted on X, the activist lawyer said he's strong enough to confront the principalities and powers. Recall that the lawyer was arrested for allegedly defaming Afe Babalola, a senior advocate of Nigeria and founder of Afe Babalola University, Ado Ekiti. Elder statesman and senior advocate of Nigeria, Are Afe Babalola, has said the allegations that he corrupted the judiciary by detained Lagos lawyer and activist Dele Farotimi was born out of malice. Afe Babalola said Farotimi leveled the allegation against him after he failed to get justice for his client at the Supreme Court in a land case involving his chamber. He, however, said the activist will be freed from prison if he can prove his allegations that he corrupted the judiciary, as he stated in his book. Babalola, however, has said that Farotimi will be freed from prison if he can prove his allegations. A few weeks ago, a chief magistrate court in Ado-Ekiti had granted Farotimi 30 million naira bail. Farotimi was subsequently released after meeting his bail conditions. Mankitanen, what is your position on this story?
You may not know why I'm laughing.
Why are you laughing?
You know, somebody wrote a book, and the system that he accused activated itself to prove him right.
Why do you say that?
But that's exactly what has happened. You know, the legal philosophy under which our criminal jurisprudence is operating is what we call adversarial. There are two sides of it. We have adversarial and inquisitorial, right? Like in France, you have the inquisitorial. The difference between it is this. In the adversarial, which is what we are practicing, which is what we claim, yes, on paper, that we are practicing. Because what Afe Babalola has done has shown that we are neither here nor there. We are a confused people. Because what is advocating for Dele Farotimi is inquisitorial. If I'm accused of a crime, I'm not supposed to prove my innocence. The person who accused me is supposed to prove my guilt. That is adversarial. But inquisitorial, like in France, if I am caught, let's say it is discovered that I own this studio and this complex, right? I can be arrested. And I'll be confronted with the fact that I own this studio, this facility. I have to show the source of my wealth that enable me to build this. If I cannot, I'll forfeit it to the state. So that is what Afe Babalola is suddenly turning around that Dele Farotimi should do. Let me tickle you. Are you aware that criminal defamation has been taken out of the law book of Ekiti State and Lagos? It's not under law. The desperation with which Afe Babalola, see, let me say this to you. In 2004, even though this is going to be my parting shot, I will end on this note. In 2004, that was just 4 years at the bar, the president of the Ghana Bar Association, in one of our conferences in Nigeria, told Nigerian lawyers in the face that you people are the problem of Nigeria. That the day Nigerian lawyers change, that Nigeria will change. Squarely. Nothing more. He said it all. You see where we are in Nigeria today. This messy situation in which we are. Lawyers are behind it. The political class don't have that guts to do the nonsense they are doing, playing with our future and our destiny, particularly our children, that they are doing. Except backed by lawyers. And the senior lawyers, they are the main beneficiaries. You know, we don't have election in this country. We have 4 years.
But when you look at what Afe Babalola is saying, one would understand if Dele Farotimi published certain things that are character assassinating.
Listen.
Hold on, damaging to Afe Babalola. Dele Farotimi should be able to prove the things he alleged. Don't you think so?
This is not the way it is done. Listen. Okay, let me give you this other dimension.
Where burden of proof lies on the accuser.
Do you know that?
Is that what you're saying? No.
Do you know that the desperation of Afe Babalola also pushed him to the legal practitioner disciplinary committee that they should debar him. They should withdraw his license. That is the extent of desperation.
It is not a judicial crime that he committed.
That he is supposed to be a mobile encyclopedia of the law by virtue of his age and exposure. Do you understand? You see, when people's hands are not clean, like my father used to tell us a story before he died. He said the day that God will want a poor man to get victory over a rich man, that the mistake that the wealthy man will make will be so stupefying that people will ask the wealthy man, "Oga, please don't be offended though. Are you the one who did this?" And the man will just say, "Na devil." Because it's you can't explain why such a thing should happen. That's exactly what has happened. The agency told Afe Babalola that, look, you claim, where was the book published? In Lagos. You claim that you are defamed in the book. You take it's a civil matter. It's not a criminal matter. Mm-hmm. So why do you activate the criminal angle? Now let me explain another thing that happened. And this is what the political class are doing. And I want Nigerians to wake up. When the law is in the hand, Bob Marley says you can't expect justice where criminals make the law. You know, what happens is this. Once you are picked by the hook of the law, they will now go to the magistrate, because they are the people that appointed them. That's why they fight to take over the control of who they appoint to be there. That was what happened in the case of Dele Farotimi. When he was, I would say, kidnapped from Lagos and taken to Ekiti State and arraigned, they told the magistrate not to grant him bail. By the capacity of Dele Farotimi, he can even be granted bail on self-recognition. He was asked to deny him bail and adjourn for bail consideration. If you don't know what that means, the former governor of Rivers State is my professional colleague. That was one of his key activities, the weapon that he had been using here. Even when what's his name? A former members of the National House wanted to be governor of this state. What he did, he created a confusion, arrested him, and charged him to court, and asked the magistrate to remand him in prison custody and adjourn for bail consideration to a date within which period all the activity relating to the primary or being governor would have been concluded. Right. Now, in this very case, the magistrate was asked to do the same. At the fullness of time, there are more books that will be written. All right. Now, when he now did that, finally he was granted bail and he had been released. Dele Farotimi saying that he is ready. Let the law take its course. All right. If they like, let's destroy the law properly so that we know that we're in a jungle wherein people will not take laws into their hands. Enough is enough. All right, Manki. Let's look at Sheyi Tinubu and military honors parade. Former presidential candidate from the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, on Sunday condemns the recent military parade involving Sheyi Tinubu, President Bola Tinubu's son. Atiku demanded a thorough investigation into the incident, which he described as a gross violation of military tradition. In a statement signed by his media aide, Paul Ibe, Atiku called the event an aberration for any branch of the armed forces to organize a formal parade for a non-designated public figure. It is with utter dismay and concern that Nigerians were subjected to a nauseating video circulating online in which a group of young men and armed and in full military procession bestowed upon the president's son unwarranted military honors, Atiku said. He further questioned the legitimacy of the military-like outfit involved, stating that the so-called group, the Nigeria Cadet Network, is not a recognized entity within the Nigerian Armed Forces. If it is determined that legal violations were committed by the president's son or members of the so-called Nigeria Cadet Network, it is the constitutional duty of Nigerian security agencies to ensure that the law takes its course and those responsible are held accountable, Atiku said. Mankitane. Yes. You mentioned this earlier. And now, what do you have to say? It's a continuation of a show that Nigeria is a theater of absurdities. How about the First Lady, who told us in their faces that they have made their money, that they did not come to touch Nigerians' money, that they came to rescue and better our lives, and all those shenanigans statements she made. The same thing. How much was budgeted for our office that does not exist constitutionally? So anything goes here. In fact, they should put him as president designate for 2027. They can do anything they want to do. But what I know is that, you see this 2025 that is coming? 2025 that is coming. Mm-hmm. I call it a revolutionary year because I think Nigerians will be well suited. This is just a mere call. Nothing will come out of it. It is what the military Do you understand? Military is supposed to come out and make statement on. Unfortunately, the military are busy killing the youth of the oil-producing areas who have been forced into parallel refinery instead of collaborating with them. They are killing them. That is their duty. That is what their duty has turned to now. They are not about the protection of the external, the integrity of our borders. No, that is not their duty. So anything can happen here. I tell you that this is a jungle. So I'm not surprised. The day is coming here. Just wait. If you hear the military saying, is it not the head of the military that the members of the National Assembly found that they were diverting funds and that they did not even call them to order? They did not have the courage to call them to order. Even when in a Senate state, they will tell them to refund all those money. They now said, let us now, from here forward, do the right thing. And yet the National Assembly voted it down. So what do you expect? Anything can happen here. The other time we are hearing that the presidential jet, the son, flew it to go and watch match or whatever. Anything can happen. What are we talking about? We are all here. They were talking about jet, this, that. Finally, they bought it. They bought yacht. They bought this. They bought that. They said they are getting more money now. While Nigerians are dying. For the first time, Nigerian businesses, foreign companies are closing and leaving this country. And it doesn't matter to them because the oil they are mining offshore, most of the oil companies are moved offshore so that Nigerians don't know what is happening. They cannot be poor. But I believe that Nigeria will get to a point that, Hooke's law says that provided elasticity means not exceeded, force is directly proportional to extension. We will get to that point. Whatever they want to do, let them continue. There is a limit. So all this nonsense, I don't believe in just mere talking. I believe in action. And I want to hold that Nigerians will get to a point that we will say enough is enough. The percentage of individuals that are taking us captive is a minute, comparatively speaking. Right. And when we say enough is enough, like somebody will say that is Charlie Boy, Amumu never do. When we say enough is enough, we will stop this nonsense.
Right, Manki.
That's the way I see it.
And sadly, this is where we wrap it up on this episode of Blowout. I know you still have a lot. You still have a lot to say, Manki. But then, it is what it is. It will get better, I can assure you.
Oh, I'm an incurable optimist.
Yeah, well, incurable
optimist.
That is sounding
I'm not living here.
All right.
I will be here. And things will turn around for good one day.
Amen. Thank you so much, Manki, for coming on Blowout. It's a pleasure having you today. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
And thank you so much, our viewers, for always staying connected to us. We are open for advert placements, bookings, and commercials. You can connect with us on all our ATN socials, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, and on Twitter, Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website, www.atlanticnetwork.tv. Do not forget, peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Open conversation comes up shortly. Do not go away. Thank you for watching. I am Lauren Shea Ugu.